Hey everyone, Keone here from the Haunting You podcast. I am deep into building props for this season, and I just picked up the coolest little controller that I absolutely had to share with each of you. So I have been building all of my props using Fright Props controllers, particularly the Boo Box or the Peekaboo. And they provide a wide range of controllability and super easy to program as well. This controller does everything that I wanted out of the Peekaboo controllers at a fraction of the cost. So the one I have here today is the Ammon Duo by Purgatory Props. You can find out more about them at purgatoryprops.com. Let's dive right into it. So this is the test bed that I've set up. I have 3 LEDs here. These LEDs are from Mr. Tim Frank at Haunt LEDs. I'll have a separate video to talk about what I think of those because they are also very cool. But so I have one LED that goes to the number 1 output on the controller. I have a second LED that is going to the number 2 output on the controller. And then you see over here, 0. This is actually a third output on the controller. And while these two can be programmed based on your 2 buttons here, this one is either always on or always off when the animation is running. The default is for it to turn on when the animation is running, and I have another LED hooked up there. The cool thing about this is if I wanted to set up like an ambient type of animation, like I wanted lights to be on in a room, I could set this up so that when the animation's not running, this output is on and my lights are on. And then when the animation gets triggered, the light would turn off and my animation would happen. So that's a very cool extra output that comes automatic on this Ammon Duo. And then up here at the top, here is your input. It has a positive and minus 12 volt output, as well as the trigger in. And right now I have it hooked up just to a basic beam sensor, also available from Purgatory Props for significantly cheaper than I have seen elsewhere. Programming this Ammon Duo is extremely easy. You just push the play record button and hold it until the LED turns red. Once it's blinking, you know it is ready to record. And then you just press the buttons however many times you want to happen in your animation and push the play record button again. Turns green, it has now stored your animation. And so now when I go back to press the play button, you see the output button, or the output turned on, and then there goes the animation that we just programmed. It is literally that easy. Just a couple of pushes of buttons and it's ready to go. Now I mentioned that this can take any number of external outputs wired up through here. So the one that I have wired up is a beam sensor. I also have a motion sensor that I bought from Purgatory Props. And what I really like about buying these triggers from Purgatory Props, here, I've got one right here. Each of them comes along with one of these cards, and it tells you what all of the wires are, as well as how to wire it in your controller. So everything is right there, super easy to do. All available through Purgatory Props. So we have our beam sensor here. This is the receiver for the beam, so that when something passes in between the 2 of these, that's what triggers. And then we have it wired in up here. Following the wiring diagram, black wire is going to the in. We have our blue and our white wires tied together going into the negative, and our brown wire going into the positive, supplying power to the beam sensor itself. And watch, as I break the beam, you see it immediately kicks on and starts playing the animation that we just recorded. There it goes. And it turns off. Perfect, just like that. And it really is that easy. So this is the Ammon Duo PC200. Like I said, $50 from Purgatory Props. They also have a 4 output controller that is just as easy to program, the Ammon Quadro, $110. Either way, super easy and a really good price for all of these controllers. Now, this controller also has a few other features that I want to talk about here real quick. I have also been very impressed with Purgatory Props website. You see it here on the phone. I'm jumping over to help and support real quick because this is where I can find manuals for all of their controllers. So there's the Duo. So I mentioned earlier this third output. If I wanted to change, so the default is that it will turn on automatically as soon as the animation starts, and it will turn off as soon as the animation ends. You can also change it so that it turns on, so it has a couple other different modes. Second mode is the start mode. For that output will turn on for just 1 second at the beginning of the animation. Or you have end mode, and that will turn the animation on for 1 second at the end of the animation. Or there's start and end mode, so you can turn it on for 1 second at the beginning, 1 second at the end, and it'll be off for all of the animation itself. And then there's the inverted that we talked about. So if I want to change how this output reacts, let's say I want it to be on when the animation is not running, and I want it to turn off when the animation is running because I want ambient light or something that is controlling. So I'm going to turn the controller off, and I did that just by pulling the 12-volt power supply. And then I'm going to push and hold the play and record button and plug it in. As soon as it flashes blue, I'll push and hold the number 2, which will toggle the output, which will invert the output number 3. So here we go. We're going to push and hold play, plug it in. It flashes blue, push and hold 2. And now, as I back up, you can see red light is on. And then when I trigger the output, it turns off and my animation begins playing. Same animation that we programmed before. There you go. And as soon as it ended, that output turned back on, so we have our ambient light again. And you can do that with any of these outputs in the exact same way. So now we're going to power off again. And I want to turn the other 2 outputs, I want to invert the other 2 outputs. So this time, when I plug it in, I'm just going to push and hold the 1 and 2 button, power it on, wait for blue, and as soon as it turns green again, it has successfully toggled. And there we have it. Now all 3 lights are on all the time. So all 3 outputs are on all the time. And again, when I trigger it, which they turned off, and then the animation begins playing. One more thing I want to talk about, it also has a write protect. So once you have your programming set and you want to make sure that it doesn't accidentally get made or doesn't get messed with, you can do the write protect mode. And you do that by just push and hold the play record button while powering up. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to push and hold play record. And now you see we have a purple LED. So now if I try to record, I'm going to just push and hold record again like we did before. You see it doesn't let me record. So now the animation that we have in there is stuck and nothing else will work, or it will not allow that to be changed. Really useful once you have finished your programming, so that if someone happens to bump into it, it doesn't accidentally erase it. And to turn that mode off again, power it down, push and hold the play record button, power it up, wait until the lights change, and it's ready to go again. So again, that is the Ammon Duo by Purgatory Props. You can find out more about them at purgatoryprops.com. Now, beyond the Ammon Duo, they also have a 4-channel controller called the Ammon Quadro. It costs a little bit more, $50 for the Duo, $110 for the Quadro. The Quadro, though, gives you 4 channels of output compared to the 2 that the Duo has, and it has built-in audio capability, up to 30 watts if you're using a 5-amp power supply. the Duo does not have any sound at all. So if you need sound for your prop, the Quadro may be the way to go. Beyond their controllers though, Purgatory Props also sells triggers at a fraction of the cost of what I can find anywhere else. So they have the reflected beam sensor like I was using on my setup here today, but they also have a diffused beam sensor which does not require a reflector at all, but will still detect people walking in front of it. They also have the PIR motion sensor, so something like this, you know, your typical motion sensor like you would have for any security system. And then they have just a foot switch, simple tap, and it will trigger, as well as a time delay trigger. The time delay allows you to literally set a delay, so the prop gets triggered, but it will wait up to 20 seconds before anything happens, allowing your guests to get into just the right position before your animation takes off. So the beam sensors, $20 to $30. This PIR motion sensor, $20. The foot switch, $10. The time delay trigger, $20. Absolutely insanely low prices, well beyond or well below what I will find anywhere else. And because they are a partner of the Haunting You podcast, a sponsor of the Haunting You podcast, you can save an additional 10% off your order if you use the code Haunting You, just the letter U, all one word, when you check out. So type in the code HAUNTINGU. When you check out, you will save 10% off your order. Absolutely phenomenal company to work with. Their customer service has been top notch, and I absolutely love what this little controller can do. At $50, it's completely changed the way I'm building my props. Go check them out at purgatoryprops.com, and I think they will be able to do the same for you. In the meantime, go check out the Haunting You podcast. We can be found anywhere you get your podcasts or on our website at hauntingyou.com. Once again, just with the letter U. On our website, be sure to check out our sponsors page because that is where you will find all of the deals that we have negotiated for our listeners, and you'll be able to find the things that you need to build your haunt at a discount, all for you for being a loyal listener. So, until next time, happy haunting, my friends, and we'll see you next time.